'Tis the season for horror. Yes, I know. It is actually the holiday season. Christmas is coming up, and that is why it's the season for a very specific type of horror. And that, of course, is Christmas horror. So we have a brand new list for you. 10 Christmas horror movies that you absolutely have to check out. And we are going to kick off the list with number one, a movie that proves Christmas isn't all gingerbread and good decisions. And of course, we're talking about a Christmas horror story. This is an underrated gem from 2015. Yes, you can mix holiday cheer with ghosts, changelings, Krampus, and yeah, zombie elves too, and somehow make it work. Now, this is an anthology film, and I have said in another horror list for Halloween, I'm not a huge fan of anthology films just because I don't think a lot of them are done very well. I don't think the quality's there, but there are exceptions. I do like this one. This is, think of this in a way like the Halloween one that I really love and I've recommended, Trick or Treat. It's kind of trying to do that same thing. It's got different stories that sort of stitched together a little bit. You know, they intertwine like Trick or Treat. Now, I will say I think Trick or Treat is a better anthology film, but a Christmas horror story is pretty damn good on its own. Absolutely. So, look, we've got four tales here, just like Trick or Treat. And they all have qualities that make them bangers, some better than others. I'll let you decide which one you like. But look, you've got a creepy as hell ghost story involving teens stuck in their old school. Because, of course, nothing says holiday spirit like vengeful nuns in a basement full of bad decisions. We've got a changeling story. A family goes in the woods to get a Christmas tree and brings home, well, it's not their kid that brings home, okay? And so you'll love the payoff in this one. And then next up, of course, Krampus. Not just any Krampus. This one is stalking a dysfunctional family with the kind of energy that says, yes, yes, I will ruin your holiday travel plans. And the final story, we've got Santa fighting off zombie elves at the North Pole. If that doesn't sell you on the premise alone, I don't know what will. It is gloriously over the top. It is absolutely unhinged. There is a twist at the end that brings all the threads together in a way that's both clever and I gotta say, just a touch heartbreaking. Overall, I think what I like about this film is that I think it does a pretty good job with the tone of balancing, sincere atmospheric horror with some dark humor, but without ever feeling like it's shifted all the way over into parody. You know, it's stylish. There's some surprisingly emotional and genuinely creative things in this. And if you want a Christmas horror movie that gives you a variety of guts, mythology, gore. Oh, and by the way, William Shatner. Yes, William Shatner. He kind of holds all of this together, playing a DJ in this movie. Definitely worth checking out just for that. But A Christmas Horror Story, one of the movies that gets better every time you revisit it. It's perfect for anyone who wants their holidays with a little extra, well, horror. So definitely put this on your Christmas watch list if you're a horror person. I think you'll enjoy it. Number two, Black Christmas. Now, this is the Black Christmas, the original 1974, still has not been done better. It is a true Christmas classic. It's not Home Alone, it's not a Christmas story. It is the godfather of slashers, the one that walked. So Halloween, Friday the 13th, and basically every mass maniac since could run. Black Christmas, the original 1974 masterpiece. If you have never seen it, well, imagine a cozy sorority house decked out for the holidays. Sounds festive, right? But then you got to picture the absolute worst house guest imaginable, hiding in the attic, breathing like he just ran a marathon through a cheese grater. That is the vibe of this movie. A simple setup, but that is kind of what makes it brilliant. You have a group of sorority sisters staying on campus during Christmas break, and they start receiving these disturbing, unhinged phone calls from someone who's clearly not well. And not in the, needs hot cocoa and therapy way, more like needs an exorcism and a restraining order from humanity sort of way. And then, of course, the calls build, they get worse, and so does the danger. And what makes Black Christmas, one of the things that makes it so incredible is how ahead of its time it was. Movie coming out in 74, and it really basically created the slasher blueprint. I know everyone likes to put point towards Psycho. but this is more in the traditional slasher vein that I think a lot of us are familiar with. You've got the killer POV shots, or I should say the POV shots of the killer, and maybe some killer POV shots as well. There's the isolated setting, the slow building dread. It's got all of that. And it has Jess, our final girl, one of the earliest and strongest examples of a horror heroine who's smart, grounded, and actually feels like a real person. And that is something that I think has been missing from a lot of final girls in horror recently. They need to go back and revisit because that stuff was already there and it was really well done in movies like Black Christmas. And even now, the film holds up because of its atmosphere, because of its simple premise. It's not about jump scares. It's about the sort of the creeping, suffocating tension that builds from that very first phone call. Director Bob Clark, and yes, the same guy who later made A Christmas Story, which is, hilarious in its own way, knew exactly how to make Christmas feel cozy and terrifying at the same time. Not gonna spoil the ending for you, but just let's say it sticks with you in a I'm double checking my attic tonight kind of way. So look, if you're into slasher movies, you're into slasher history, you just want a holiday horror movie that still genuinely unnerves people 50 years later. Black Christmas, essential viewing. Eerie, iconic, way scarier than half the modern slashers out there. Trust me, this one deserves a spot in your Christmas rotation. Moving on to number three, one of my favorites. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying it is one of the best on the list, but it is one of my personal favorites. They're not always the same thing. I get that and I make that clear. I think The Replacements is one of the best sports movies around. Not everyone agrees, but anyway, let's talk about a movie that proves losing your Christmas spirit is way more dangerous than forgetting to buy batteries for the kids' toys. Do they do that anymore? Well, I guess, yeah, now it's even more electronics, isn't it? Anyway, I'm talking about Krampus, the 2015 holiday horror comedy that basically said, what if Christmas Vacation, but with a giant demonic goat creature? And honestly, it's a little bit glorious. It's directed by Michael Dougherty, the same twisted genius behind Trick or Treat, which as you all know, if you've been to this channel before, that is one of my favorites. Krampus, it gives us a star-studded cast. You've got Adam Scott, Tony Collette, David Hoechner, all playing a family that is spectacularly dysfunctional. I mean, this family makes the Griswolds look well adjusted. See how I threw it all the way back to Christmas Vacation? Yeah, that's right. I'm doing that, giving you the payoffs. If these people were more stressed, they would spontaneously combust. So at the center of it is young Max. He's trying very, very hard to hold on to that holiday magic. But when your family is acting like they're auditioning for the Jerry Springer Christmas special, who's the equivalent of Jerry Springer nowadays, by the way? Let me know in the comments below. I should update that, but I don't know if there is anyone. Anyway, it's rough. When Max finally he gives up, he rips up his letter to Santa, and boom, accidentally summons the big guy himself and not the jolly one, the other big guy. And no, not the Hulk, uh, the horned one. The I will absolutely ruin your Christmas and your plumbing one. And this is where the movie takes things to another level where it gets brilliant. Krampus doesn't just show up. Oh no, 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 no. He brings an entire supernatural army of evil toys, demonic gingerbread men, nightmare creatures that look like they crawled out of a festive fever dream. Side note, as I'm saying this, it's hitting me. I would love to see what Tim Burton would do with something like this. Anyway, the tone hits this perfect sweet spot between genuinely creepy and also laugh out loud funny. Yes, it does. It does do that. It's actually kind of wild at how well that it does do that. Somehow the film is both winking at you and making sure you're still checking the shadows so that nothing nothing's there. The story is very tight, very well done. There's not a lot of extra that shouldn't be in there. It's fun, it's spooky, it's visually amazing. It's got this old school folklore vibe that gives the whole thing more weight than your average holiday horror flick. And as the family is forced to come together to survive, you actually find yourself caring about them. Yes, Yes, even the obnoxious ones, and those are here too. If you want a Christmas movie that's festive, funny, scary, weirdly heartfelt, Krampus is a must watch. One of the best modern holiday horrors. I was going to say horror holiday, and that doesn't make much sense. And it absolutely earns a spot in your yearly rotation. It does for me anyway. But look, don't tear up your letters to Santa, okay? That's a no-no. Don't do it. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, and we got to move on. Number four, number four, Violent Night. This answers a question none of us knew that we desperately needed the answer to. What if Santa Claus snapped and went full John Wick? Welcome, welcome to Violent Night, the gloriously bonkers holiday action comedy where David Harbour proves he was absolutely born to wield a sledgehammer in a Santa suit. Set up pure Christmas chaos, wealthy, dysfunctional family, taken hostage by mercenaries on Christmas Eve, led by a guy literally named Mr. Scrooge. Because subtlety, that's so last holiday season. They are after $300 million supposedly hidden in the mansion. And honestly, I got to say, you almost root for them because this family is peak rich people drama. But their plan, it's just a tiny snag. Santa Claus is there, and that is not good for these mercenaries. It is a very tired, very done with everyone Santa. The guy is disillusioned. He's frustrated with how commercial Christmas has become. And he's probably at the exact emotional stage where a good brawl might actually make him feel something again. And lucky for us, the mercenaries picked the wrong night to go corporate Grinch. And so what follows is an absolutely delightful mix of brutal action, dark holiday humor. Santa starts off, trying to avoid conflict like the responsible adult he technically is. But once he realizes little Trudy is in danger, wow, he taps into some seriously impressive combat skills. Welcome, John Santa Wick Claus. I mean, look, who knew Santa's backstory included former Viking warrior? But suddenly the whole toy delivery thing makes so much more sense. This movie does a brilliant job of balancing these heartfelt moments with laugh out loud absurdity with a backdrop of unhinged violence. Yeah, violence, but it's also surprisingly sweet, especially in how it explores things like belief, family unity, the idea that even the most jaded among us can rediscover their purpose. There is a sequence with Home Alone style traps that is, to use a overused phrase, chef's kiss. The mercenary takedowns, they are absolutely brutal in the best way possible. David Harbour's Santa, an instant, unhinged holiday icon. Violent Night is one of those rare Christmas movies that is wildly fun, legitimately touching, just the right amount of unhinged. If you want a holiday horror film, or even just a holiday film with heart, humor, enough carnage to make the North Pole HR department cry, this is absolutely one you got to add to your yearly rotation. Now, to be clear, this is, and what I've tried to do with this list, I should have mentioned at the beginning, is give you a variety of styles in terms of horror. And this is not one of those like you're creeped out the whole way, you're holding your breath and tense because you're waiting for that next jump scare, but it's got its own horror. It's got its own horror. I think you'll enjoy it. But number five, we're going back again. Night of the Comet. A quick detour, folks. We're going to quick detour from the snow and sleigh bells. We're going to head straight into the neon-soaked, post-apocalyptic 80s with Night of the Comet. The movie that dare ask, what if the end of the world happened and two Valley Girls were somehow the most competent survivors? This is a 1984 cult classic, and it is an absolute blast. The plot: a mysterious comet passes over Earth, vaporizing almost everyone except the lucky few who happen to be surrounded by steel at the right time. And among those survivors are sisters Regina and Samantha, one a video game loving badass, the other a cheerleader who might actually be the funniest final girl energy the 80s ever gave us. What I love about this movie is that it embraces the apocalypse with the same enthusiasm most people have for Black Friday shopping. These girls wake up to an empty world, they shrug, they immediately hit the mall because it's the 80s. Honestly, wouldn't you do the same? But this is important. Don't let the pastel outfits fool you. There are real stakes here. The comet didn't just dust the planet, it left behind decaying, cannibalistic zombies, because of course it did, who are basically walking reminders that sunscreen isn't the only thing you should fear. And then you've got the underground scientists who knew exactly what was coming. They prepped for it, still managed to mess it up by leaving their vents open. Yeah, they left their vents open. Anyway, our sisters not only have to deal with the zombies, but also the scientists who want to borrow their blood for a vaccine permanently. So you get this perfect mix of sci fi, horror, comedy, mall culture wrapped up in bright neon and synth music. The tone is just perfection. It never takes itself too seriously, but it also doesn't devolve into parody. Common theme that seems to be among the movies I'm selecting here. The characters are genuinely likable, which goes a long way. The world is fun to explore. The film has that unmistakable 80s charm that makes even the end of civilization feel warm and fuzzy. And just a touch cozy. If you love your horror with humor, some heart, maybe some big, big hair, Night of the Comet may be exactly what you need. It is colorful. It's honestly one of the most fun apocalyptic movies ever made, and it teaches you a valuable, valuable lesson. Always appreciate your sisters because you never know when you might need them to help fight zombies and rogue scientists after a comet vaporizes humanity. Number six, Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. And now we are headed to Finland for a foreign film, Land of Snow, Reindeer, and apparently the most terrifying version of Santa Claus you will ever see. That's right, Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. It is the movie that proves Christmas folklore is way scarier when you go straight to the source. It kicks off with an archaeological dig that's supposed to uncover something wholesome, festive, maybe jolly. And instead, they find a giant horned creature frozen in ice because nothing says Merry Christmas like accidentally unearthing an ancient demon who might have invented the naughty list by literally punishing children. Our heroes, a reindeer hunter and his young son, who, by the way, is a better final boy than half the adults in modern horror. When kids start disappearing faster than holiday cookies at a family party, Pi- I struggle with his name, folks. Pietari, sorry, Finnish people, connects the dots. And spoiler: Santa is not coming to give presents; he's coming to take children. And when the father and son accidentally trap what they think is Santa, well, ratchet things up another level. They're going to get even crazier. Let's just say he's naked, he's feral, and he does not give off cozy North Pole vibes. Then the elves show up, right? Fantastic. Thankful. We love the elves. Oh, wait, no. Thousands of creepy old men who look like they were pulled straight out of a mall Santa nightmare. They're absolutely determined to free their frozen overlord, and suddenly this turns into the weirdest and most wonderfully chaotic showdown between ancient folklore and modern capitalism. Because, yes, this family decides the best thing to do is obviously sell whatever this is. You heard me. Yes, you heard me. Sell whatever this is. Anyway, what makes Rare Exports amazing is the tone. It's scary without being grim. It's funny without being goofy. It's oddly heartwarming in that myths can kill you kind of way, I guess. The atmosphere is gorgeous. The folklore's rich. The twist on Santa mythology is creative. It makes every other dark Christmas movie look tame. If you want a holiday film that's original, clever, a little twisted, beautifully shot, this is one you absolutely need to see. Perfect blend of horror, fantasy, and dry Nordic humor. I bet you didn't know you needed some dry Nordic humor in your life. And also the important holiday lesson of maybe don't dig up mysterious ancient tomes right before Christmas. Tombs. Did I say tomes? Anyway, Better Watch Out, number 7 on our list. A Christmas movie that looks like your typical babysitter protects kid from intruder story. It's a home invasion story. It's a babysitter story, but mm, we'll see. But we're talking about Better Watch Out from 2016, a holiday horror thriller. You've got the babysitter, the sweet kid who has a crush on her. They hear a noise. It's a home invasion. And I am going to leave it there. I really am not going to say anything more about this because it's a very difficult movie to talk about in any way without ruining for you. So hopefully you go into this not knowing anything else other than what I just gave you. All I can tell you, it is absolutely worth the watch. It is a fun horror movie. It is a Christmas thriller. It's clever. It's unpredictable. Yeah, and it's slightly mean-spirited, but in the best possible way. It is perfect for fans of dark comedy. Better watch out. Absolutely must watch. And we're gonna completely switch gears now to number 8, Anna and the Apocalypse. Yes, we are going to talk about one of the most delightfully weird Christmas movies ever made. Sometimes you look at the holiday season and you think, you know what this needs? Singing, dancing, and zombies. And bless Scotland, they delivered all three. This movie is basically Shaun of the Dead meets Dead and Breakfast meets High School Musical, but with more decapitations, better choreography for sure. We follow Anna. She's played by the incredibly charming Ella Hunt. Just wants to take a gap year and see the world, something her dad is not on board with. And honestly, given what happens next, I think this film is saying, girls, listen to dad. Okay, he was kind of right here. But around her, you've got a great ensemble cast of teenage chaos. But then, of course, because it's a musical, we need to kick things up a notch. We've got a zombie outbreak hits during the school's Christmas show. And what do our heroes do? Well, they do what any sensible teens would do in a life or death situation. They put on their headphones, or I guess maybe put in their earplugs, sing a cheerful song about the future, and completely ignore the apocalypse happening behind them. That's how you stay safe, right? Truly inspiring. Once they do notice the undead wandering around in Christmas sweaters, the movie becomes this wonderful blend of heartfelt character moments, genuinely hilarious gags, surprisingly emotional twists. Anna Prucci is an absolute force, decapitating a zombie snowman with a seesaw like some kind of festive action movie queen. What makes Anna and the Apocalypse shine is the well, all of it, but I guess the balance of all of it. The humor's sharp, the musical numbers are catchy, the zombie action is way better than it has any right to be in a Christmas musical horror film. And yeah, it's got a ton of heart and it's got the music and all that, but it's not afraid to go dark or to throw in a punchline right after a dramatic moment as well. It's a holiday movie that's charming. It's bloody. I'm hesitating putting these words together because they just don't make sense in my head. If you want a Christmas horror movie that breaks the mold, maybe hits you in the feels, gives you some songs you'll be humming while running from zombies, Anna and the Apocalypse is an absolute must watch. And I am not a musical guy. Musicals are not my thing. But let's be real, any movie that makes a seesaw look like a weapon of zombie destruction, it deserves a place in your holiday rotation. Moving on, we are going to shift gears from musical zombies and killer Santas to something a little more emotionally devastating. Isn't that what you want for the holiday season? Today we're talking about The Lodge, a film that proves sometimes the scariest thing about winter isn't the cold, it's being trapped with your trauma, your soon to be stepkids, and absolutely no cell service. The Lodge is a masterclass in psychological horror. This is a slow burn. Had a lot of those on my last horror list. This is one as well. You don't watch it, you sort of sink into it like a beanbag chair, like falling into an icy lake while someone whispers, trust the process, trust the process. Uh, anyway, we follow Grace, who gives a performance, played by Riley Keough, who gives a performance so good, so raw. You want to wrap her in a blanket and maybe cancel Christmas forever. After the kid's mother dies, their dad decides the best healing strategy is to leave his children alone in a remote winter lodge with a woman who survived a cult at Christmas. I mean, come on. What could possibly go wrong with that setup? Well, everything, really. Absolutely everything. Uh, Once the storm rolls in and Richard leaves, Grace and the kids find themselves isolated in a giant wooden anxiety box. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? Strange things start to happen, belongings disappear, power goes out, and slowly but surely, the film blurs the line between the psychological breakdown and supernatural torment. The atmosphere, it is immaculate, it's icy, it's oppressive, it's so quiet. You can practically hear your own heartbeat trying to escape your chest. The kids bring their own emotional complexity and let's just say their coping mechanisms will give even Krampus a migraine. That's what I'm trying to get out. And Grace, carrying unimaginable past trauma, is pushed to a point where you're not sure if she's unraveling or waking up to a nightmare that was always waiting for her. What makes The Lodge so effective is its commitment to tension. This is a tense film. It does not rely on jump scares, it doesn't rely on cheap tricks. Instead, it just slowly tightens the screw, slowly squeezes until you're sitting there gripping your chair, wondering why you chose to watch it at night alone during winter. Doesn't it sound like a great holiday film? But seriously, The Lodge, it's beautifully crafted. It's this descent into grief, really, that it's showing you the guilt, the psychological collapse. It is haunting, thought provoking, definitely stays with you long after the credits roll. So if you're looking for a Christmas horror that's less ho 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 and more no, 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 The Lodge is absolutely worth the emotional damage. Although it may be one of those films that you only ever watch once, you love it, but you never go back to it. Just forewarning you there. All right, let's put on our ugliest Christmas sweaters, grab some candy canes, that probably are weapons, and talk about Terrifier 3. That is number 10 on the list. The movie that asks, what if the holiday season needed way more blood? And Art the Clown was like, say no more, or maybe more accurately, hold my beer. This installment takes everything you love or, survived from Terrifier 2 and it wraps it in Christmas lights. This might be the most Christmas movie on this list. Sienna Shaw is back, once again trying to live a normal life after being brutally traumatized by a mime from hell. But Art doesn't care about healing journeys. Art doesn't care about therapy. He cares about spreading holiday cheer. And by holiday cheer, I mean absolute carnage. Rising horror scream king Lauren Lavera once again crushes it as Sienna, tough, determined, basically the chosen warrior of the slasher universe. And meanwhile, of course, Art returns like the world's worst Secret Santa with gifts nobody asked for, zero sense of boundaries. I'm telling you, if this guy ever shows up at your chimney, move immediately. Don't pack, just go. Don't even grab the kids, just go. This time, not alone either. No, no, no. Victoria Hayes, now fully possessed and riding shotgun as Art's deeply unsettling sidekick, adds a whole new layer of chaos. The duo feels like the demented Christmas card Hallmark would make if they finally snapped. Now, what makes Terrifier 3 so much fun, aside from the absolute bonker killer kill sequences, is how confidently it leans into holiday horror. Like I said, this might be the most Christmassy movie on this list. This perfect mix of this festive atmosphere and gut wrenching brutality. One moment you're admiring the Christmas decor because, like I'm telling you, it is everywhere. And the next you're thinking, maybe I don't need to celebrate the holidays this year. Now, the movie keeps the franchise's signature style. There's over the top gore, practical effects that are disturbingly impressive, a villain who can do more with silence than most killers can do with dialogue. And underneath all of that chaos, a surprisingly compelling continuation of Sienna's character arc. She's becoming one of the coolest modern final girls, resilient, iconic, and ready to go toe to toe with the world's creepiest clown. Terrifier 3 is. It's bold, it's brutal, it's unapologetically over the top wild. If you're a slasher fan who wants something festive, outrageous, and gloriously blood soaked for the holidays, this is the one. It's the Christmas movie your mom definitely doesn't want you watching, and that makes it all the better. Now, look, this has already gone a little longer than I expected. I've been talking more for each movie, but we're going to throw in a bonus with number 11, and that is Christmas Evil. We are going old school. It is 1980, a holiday horror gem that proves sometimes the most terrifying thing about Christmas isn't the shopping. It's a man taking the naughty or nice list a bit too seriously. So anyway, Christmas Evil follows Harry Stadling, a guy who had his childhood shattered by discovering Santa wasn't real. And while most kids cry for a night and move on, Harry said, "Nope, I'm going to dedicate my entire adult life to becoming Santa." And maybe committing a few crimes along the way. We'll see. What makes Christmas Evil so much fun is that it's not your typical slasher. Sure, Harry dons a Santa suit, he punishes the naughty with, we'll call it enthusiasm, but the film is way more psychological than it first appears. Brandon Mayer gives an incredible performance. He plays Harry with this just a great mix of the sadness, of sincerity, and just complete unraveling, complete breakdown mentally, psychologically. You genuinely feel for the guy, even as he is losing it in spectacular holiday fashion. Christmas Evil blends horror with dark comedy in a way that's oddly charming. One moment, you're laughing at Harry, spying on neighbors to see who's being naughty. The next, you're realizing, wow, this man is really, really not okay. The film digs into childhood trauma, loneliness, the crushing expectations of the holiday season. I think we've all been there at one time or another. Just, this is with a little more blood and a Santa suit from hell. And let's talk about that ending. Don't worry, no spoilers, but it is one of the most bizarre conversation starting finales in Christmas horror history. You're either going to sit there in stunned silence or immediately rewind and ask, wait, what? Did that really just happen? Over the years, Christmas Evil has earned its cult status for good reason. Offbeat, surprisingly thoughtful, captures the eerie feeling of Christmas cheer gone wrong. The perfect holiday watch if you want something with, so I was going to say psycho, but also maybe a little psychological depth, a little retro charm, just enough or maybe way too much insanity to make you question every mall Santa you see. If you want a Christmas horror movie that's equal parts weird, wonderfully unhinged, Christmas Evil absolutely deserves a spot in your holiday marathon. Well worth checking out. A gift you didn't know you wanted and probably cannot re-gift. Anyway, let me know what you think of this list. Let me know what you've seen, what you haven't seen. If you see something based off of this, come on back and leave a comment and let me know what you thought of it. Really do appreciate you checking this out. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if I need to change the name to the Horror Hillbilly, since those seem to be doing the best on here in terms of video topics. And I will talk to you in the next video.